Now let's talk about inverse functions. Inverse functions, from its name, it's the inverse of the function. What does the inverse of the function mean? Let's have our sets again. This is the x having the elements 1, 2, and 3, and this is f of x having the elements 5, 7 with 9. And the mapping is 1 to 5, 2 to 7, and 3 to 9. And if you remember that f of 1 is simply equal to 5. But what if I want to map the values the opposite way around? I want to map from the images in the range to the elements in the domain. This would be having the inverse function. So now the f inverse of 5, this means that this image in the range, what element it has in the domain, this maps to 1. So now I'm mapping the opposite side. So what's the value of f inverse of 9? I map the opposite way, it gives me 3. So from the f inverse, I can understand that I'm changing the x values with the y values. So I can understand that the range of f inverse of x is the same as the domain of f of x, because I'm switching the x with the y. Now, what about the graphical representation of the inverse function? F inverse of x simply is the reflection of f of x on the line y equals x. F inverse of x is always the reflection of f of x on the line y equals x. Let's see if I have this example. Let's draw our axes. And I have f of x to be this function. This is f of x. And I want to draw the f inverse of x. The first thing I have to draw, the line y equals x. This would be the line y equals x. And then I have to reflect f of x on the line y equals x. So the reflection would be this way. So the curve having the blue color is f inverse of x after reflecting f of x on the line y equals x. Now let's have an example. Write down the inverse function of y equals 3x plus 4 over 6. The first step, since the inverse function, I simply switch between the domain and the range. I switch between the x and the y. I just swap them around. Now, I have it as x equals 3y plus 4 over 6. Then we need to make y the subject. Then we need y to be the subject. So now I'll cross multiply. 6x is equal to 3y plus 4. So now 6x minus 4 is simply equal to 3y, having y to be equal to 6x minus 4 divided by 3. So now the f inverse of x is equal to 6x minus 4 divided by 3. And this is the inverse function for my relation.